I'm Todd Schrupp for Beyond 140. If you follow me on Twitter at ToddTVG, you know I like to respond to the tweets you send out to me, questions or comments, but sometimes 140 characters is not enough. So now we have this format where I can talk all I want. I think that's a good thing. And a lot of people want to talk about the historic week, the historic announcement that happened with TVG and its parent company Betfair announcing that it had acquired HRTV from the Stronach Group and would merge the television operations of TVG with HRTV. That was the topic many of you tweeted questions and comments about, so let's get right into it, starting with Perry. What's new that I can see or expect with the TVG-HRTV merger? Well, immediately, you're going to see racetracks that formerly for TVG were relegated to live video streaming. It's now going to be part of our television coverage. At the centerpiece of that is what's going on at Gulfstream Park. This is the one racetrack so many people have asked me about over the years. When are you going to have television coverage of Gulfstream Park? It's happening right now, and you can wager on all of it at TVG.com. So immediate impact, more races, more racetracks that you want to play. In fact, between the two networks, TVG and HRTV, now that we have this combined situation, there will be 5,000 additional more races you may have not had access to before with our television coverage, but you always have access at TVG.com. Brian Owens asks about this deal. Does the deal bring the Churchill Downs Incorporated courses to TVG also? On HRTV, they have a carriage deal with the Churchill tracks. You will see them on that outlet, and it is being worked out as to how racetracks will be divided up between the two networks, TVG and HRTV, with the thought it's a TVG1 and a TVG2, and that is certainly part of what's being worked out as we go along. But yes, you will see those Churchill Downs racetracks through that HRTV outlet and the combined resources with TVG. Antonio DeMarco asks, at Todd TVG, with all the consolidation, what's the outlook for smaller tracks that are falling as we speak? Okay, as it concerns this particular deal, smaller racetracks are actually going to benefit because now there is uniformity in television coverage. Whichever outlet a racetrack appears on, there is going to be cross-promotion of both outlets here with both TVG and HRTV, so smaller racetracks will benefit. If it's a larger question about the industry, yes, we have seen some consolidation, and there have been some racetracks that go by the wayside. Just the shortening of dates at a racetrack that I worked out for 7 years in South Florida that was called a race course is now Gulfstream Park West. That has changed quite a bit. I don't think this change is necessarily bad for the industry, but I'm with you. I would hate to see some smaller racetracks go by the wayside, but I actually do think this deal for TVG helps those smaller racetracks with exposure and these multi-platforms that we can promote them on. Lance Fogel, he had a comment about all of this. Finally, now, maybe racing can get on the same page instead of inane infighting that has plagued the sport. Lance, that's a perfect comment. And I guess the only thing that I would add to it, I've been frustrated by that infighting over the years. And for all the talk about how racing needs a central authority to, basically call the shots in racing, and we could never get everyone on board. The National Thoroughbred Racing Association tried that. I believe that this is a tipping point for the industry and a watershed moment, because television can bring people together and bring the message together and can only help the sport from a marketing point of view. Who would have thought after TVG launched 16 years ago, now all these years later, it would absolutely be a unifying force. You cannot understate how big this announcement was earlier in the week. Okay, let's leave this historic announcement for a moment on Beyond 140 and get some other questions that you sent in. Great response this week. Jason Sayeda, please name a horse you expect to deliver a breakout performance in one of the upcoming Derby prep races. The Fountain of Youth on Saturday at Gulfstream Park is a huge race, and there's a huge horse in there in Upstart. I know he's the 8-5 morning line favorite. I know his Holy Bull was really good, and maybe your question is breakout performance as in a horse we haven't heard before, but I think Upstart has another big performance in him, and because of the depth of the Fountain of Youth, if he wins that race easily, he vaults to the top of many top 10 Derby lists, and he's already there with many. So I'm going to keep my eye on Upstart and kind of be Captain Obvious to that question. And don't forget, because of the new deal, you can watch the Fountain of Youth with our television coverage on TVG and play at TVG.com. Andy Andonolfi sends in, at Todd TVG, Phil D'Amato had a runner, Mixed Miracle, who crushed in the Santa Anita debut for him back on December 26th. He's been off the grid since. Where is this horse? He worked on January 5th. Following that race on December 26th, he was preparing to go to the San Vicente in a showdown with Texas Red and others. Unfortunately, he had a bruised foot and has been sidelined since. But I'm with you. Mixed Miracle was awesome. I don't think he's a Derby-type horse looking at his pedigree, but he is a 3-year-old definitely to watch when he gets back to regular training. Our final point on Beyond 140 comes from Wheels Westerham. I like that handle. At Todd TVG, why doesn't TVG show the real-time moving chiclets across the bottom of a race like so many track simulcasts? So if you are watching a track feed, that is with all their graphics, whatever racetrack that may be, let's take Gulfstream Park as an example. When you watch their graphics presentation, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, you'll see where every horse is, and then there is their chiclet or their saddle towel color that you can follow around the racetrack. Here's the simple reason. When we cover races, we take what we call the clean feed from the racetrack, no graphics. And the reason we do that is because then we can have uniformity in the way we present our races. So we put our graphics on that. And yes, you can follow the horses running a lot easier. It also helps with our high definition coverage. So what we try to do is get clean feeds from most of the racetracks that we take. And that way we're not covering up all kinds of graphics. We're adding our own graphics. That is the answer to your question, Wheels Westerham. I did not get to all the questions and comments submitted this week, so I hope you'll resubmit them for a future edition of Beyond 140. And again, if you want to participate, follow me on Twitter at Todd TVG.